The first episode is about the beginning of a family forming in the most unlikely circumstances. The episode starts by establishing Gus and the other cats as a group that has given up on the idea that life has any deeper meaning. They mock humans, laugh about death, insult one another, and treat survival as the only thing that matters. Their philosophy is simple life is difficult, cats are on their own, and nobody should expect anyone else to save them. That worldview begins to change when they find the lost kitten. When the cats first discover the kitten wandering around the cemetery, they consider whether they could kill and eat her. But the kitten's vulnerability eventually makes that impossible. She is small, frightened, and dependent on them. And like the older cats, she has no idea how to survive on her own. She doesn't even remember where she lives. Olive is the first to argue that they should help her. While Gus insists that every cat should fend for itself, the group eventually accepts responsibility for the kitten. This is the first important contradiction in the cat's philosophy. They repeatedly claim that nobody cares about anyone else, yet they spend the entire episode looking for the kitten's home. They could have abandoned her, they don't. Instead, they begin searching. The cats wander through the city while trying to make sense of the kitten's vague memories. The kitten doesn't know her address, so the group has to rely on whatever clues she can remember. Along the way, the cats behave exactly as badly as expected, including urinating outside a shop and destroying a plant simply because they're cats. The kitten even begins wondering whether she's an arsehole too. Gus tells her that she isn't one yet, but she has potential. That joke actually reveals something important about the relationship developing between them. The kitten is beginning to imitate the older cats, but she's also learning from them. Gus may pretend that he doesn't care about anyone, yet he's becoming the kitten's protector and teacher. The discovery of Ralphie's body after he's hit by a car gives the episode a much darker turn. The driver doesn't stop, reinforcing the cat's belief that humans are selfish and that animals are disposable to people. For the kitten, however, Ralphie's death is terrifying because it forces her to confront mortality for the first time. She asks Gus what it feels like to be dead. Gus explains that being dead is like the time before you were born. You don't experience your own death because there is nobody there to experience it. Other people notice that you're gone. It is a thoughtful moment for a character who spends most of the episode making crude jokes. The kitten understands that she'll never see Ralphie again, and the sadness of that realization makes her afraid that the same thing could happen to her. By the end of the search, the cats still haven't found the kitten's home. Gus apologizes. That's significant because the cats have spent most of the episode insisting that they don't owe anyone anything. Gus could walk away and tell the kitten that she's on her own. Instead, he promises they'll continue searching the next day. When the kitten asks what happens if they never find her home, Gus jokes that they will eventually give up, but he takes it back and reassures her that they will keep searching. This is the clearest indication yet that Gus has become emotionally attached to her. He isn't simply helping because it's convenient, he started to care. Since they cannot find the kitten's family, Gus brings her back to his makeshift shelter for the night. It's not a comfortable place, but Gus tells her that it's her home for the night because it will keep her alive. The kitten thanks him. At the beginning of the episode, the kitten believes that home is a specific physical place somewhere in the city. She wants to find the house she came from. But by the end, Gus has created a temporary home for her by allowing her to stay beside him. She may still be lost, but she isn't alone. Gus gives the kitten one of the harshest lessons. He tells her that life is cruel and that she needs to learn how to stand on her own 4 feet because nobody can save her except herself. This fits with everything we've seen from Gus throughout the episode. He believes survival is about being tough enough to endure whatever happens. But the ending exposes a contradiction in his philosophy. The kitten is frightened and begins whimpering. Gus sighs, annoyed by her crying. Yet he doesn't leave. Instead, he brings her closer and stays beside her until she can sleep. In other words, Gus tells her that nobody can help her and then helps her anyway. Gus has spent the entire episode pretending that he doesn't care. He mocks humans. He mocks Ponce for loving his owners. He mocks Olive's concern for others. He insists that cats should fend for themselves. He even describes himself as someone who survived without needing anybody. But when the kitten is frightened, Gus's behavior tells a completely different story. He stays and comforts her, he lets her sleep beside him, and he promises to keep searching for her home. Gus may believe that life is meaningless and that everyone is responsible for themselves, but he cannot bring himself to abandon a vulnerable kitten. The episode closes with the kitten thanking Gus as rain begins to fall. The rain is important because the kitten has just spent the episode learning that the world can be frightening and unpredictable. She's lost her home, witnessed death, and been forced to confront the possibility that she could be hurt too. Yet she isn't facing the rain alone. Gus is beside her. That gives the final scene a warm meaning, despite the show's bleak humor. The world hasn't become safer, the cats haven't become good people, nothing has been solved. The kitten still doesn't know where her real home is, but she now has someone willing to stay beside her. The real ending of Alley Cats, episode 1, establishes the beginning of a relationship between Gus and the lost kitten. Gus believes that survival means looking after yourself because nobody else will, but the moment the kitten needs someone, he breaks his own rules. He searches for her home, promises not to give up, gives her somewhere to sleep, and stays beside her when she's scared. The kitten, meanwhile, begins the episode alone and afraid. By the end, she still doesn't know where she belongs, but she's found safety with the cats. For all their cruelty, stupidity, and indifference, these cats have demonstrated that they're capable of caring about one another. They just don't know how to admit it. And Gus may be the first one to discover that being tough doesn't mean never needing anyone. Sometimes it means staying when someone else needs you.